The outcry is over these full-body scanners that can see through clothing. The government says people's identities are protected, but there have already been problems.
Bottom line is, I think there is some dignity that has to be involved in this. So, in my opinion, I think they need to find something a little bit better.
And then there is the question of radiation. The government says the scanners are safe. Pilots who have to pass through them on a daily basis aren't so sure, including the biggest hero pilot around, Captain Sully himself.
I think it's unnecessary for the flight crews to go through them first. And second, I think it poses some radiation risk.
Now, the fact is that when you go through these full-body scanners, you're getting a pretty heavy dose of radiation. And my understanding is that mostly it's concentrated on the surface of the body, so we expect to see cancers on the surface of the body, skin cancers and organs very close to the surface of the body. And the research is just beginning to come out now. They're trying to suppress it. They don't want the public to hear about these things. But the data is now coming out that there is a definite connection between exposure, repeated exposure to these full-body scanners.
But opting out of the scanners only causes more problems now that enhanced pat-down techniques give agents the right to feel inside the leg.
Machines are being introduced because we've been listening to our customers, we listen to them regularly. They tell us that there's two things on their mind, one is security and the other is customer experience. And at the moment, what they like least about the current security process is the actual physical pat-down. They find it quite intrusive and they don't like to have to undergo that in the public search area. What this technology allows, it means that you or I could walk up to the machine, which looks like standing in between two metal wardrobes, and we could leave our jackets on, we could leave our shoes on, our belts on, we could leave our jewellery on, things in our pockets. We could stand still for a couple of seconds while our image is taken, and because we're not carrying anything we shouldn't, we'd be cleared and able to move on and walk straight through into the departure lounge, taking away the need for that physical pat-down that customers don't like. We haven't had any objections to it. We haven't started the trial yet. Firstly, we made sure it's safe. So it's been certified by the National Radiological Protection Board. They're part of the Health Protection Agency, and they're the people who certify medical equipment, medical x-rays fit for use. So they've given it their stamp of approval. And we've also made the process completely anonymous. So you'll see from the images, it's impossible to recognise an individual's face from the image. They're not photographic images, they don't show skin colour, they're not erotic, they're not pornographic, completely anonymous. The operator viewing the image sits remotely in a different part of the airport. They don't sit in the public search area, and the machine in which they're viewing the image doesn't have the capability to store images, so the images can't be stored, recorded, forwarded on to anybody. They're literally on the screen for a few seconds and then they're off. We're not forcing anybody to use it. It's a trial, and that's why we're doing it. We want to see what people think. We want to give our customers the experience that they want. We know they don't like security at the moment. They don't like the physical pat-down. They tolerate it because they want to be safe, but a lot of them are telling us they would welcome an alternative, and that's why we're trialling this technology.
A recent CBS News poll shows Americans overwhelmingly support the use of full-body x-rays, something hard to reconcile with the very vocal minority.
If enough people opt out, these TSA abuses will come to a standstill.
A growing grassroots campaign is encouraging people to opt out of the full-body scanners next Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving and a slightly busy time in the nation's airports. The goal, to force the TSA to change its methods.
Raise holy hell.
Before the scanners, flyers were upset about taking off their shoes and leaving liquids behind. So how to balance security and privacy?
You gotta man up.
Comedian Dean Obeidallah wrote an article on the subject called "The TSA Wants to See Your TND."
You know, because you have the option. It's either going to go be seen naked or be touched by, it sounds like a drunken frat boy on prom night. I mean, everyone's so afraid they're going to grope you. You have professionally trained people who have to touch you appropriately.
The drama has reached the point of being spoof-worthy, as seen in this computer animation produced in Taiwan. But the issue behind all the outrage is no joke, and passengers hoping to force change through protests next week will likely find themselves in a very long line.